Hi, this is 2020 Astral Predicted, and in here you are going to see how just using astrology I was able to predict the biggest events of 2020 with precision, with 1 year of anticipation. Welcome to the great synchronization of 2020 Astral. Year 2020, Jupiter and Saturn will conjunct along with Pluto. The great conjunction of 2020 will complete the cycle started in 2001 with the Twin Tower attacks and the economic crisis. So get ready, because 2001 is coming back soon.
The 9/11 era is over. Written by Ben Rhodes.
9/11 was nothing compared to this.
I think, as you know, this is worse than 9/11.
Going to be the hardest and the saddest week of most Americans' lives, quite frankly. This is going to be our Pearl Harbor moment, our 9/11 moment, only it's not going to be localized. It's going to be happening all over the country.
But no, I view the invisible enemy like a war. Hey, it's killed more people than Pearl Harbor, and it's killed more people than the World Trade Center. Our country. This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this.
Because of all the predictions that I made, this will be one of the most important. To begin, then in March, one name after Mars, this planet crosses the entire Great Conjunction. The war machine is born, and the wheel of law.
We're at war.
Wartime government.
Nous sommes en guerre.
I'm a wartime president. This is a war.
Each and every one of us is directly enlisted.
Et cela requiert notre mobilisation générale.
We must act like any wartime government. Act steps that are unprecedented since World War II.
I feel it, actually. I'm a wartime president. This is a war. This is a war. Different kind of a war that we've ever had.
Plutón está más allá de lo visible y tiene el conocimiento de lo invisible. Tenía el poder de la invisibilidad.
We have to fight that invisible enemy. The American people, that we're doing everything we can each day to confront and ultimately defeat this horrible, invisible enemy. We're at war. In a true sense, we're at war. And we're fighting an invisible enemy. Think of that. It's a very tough situation. It's the invisible enemy. That's always the toughest enemy, the invisible enemy. But we're going to defeat the invisible enemy. View the invisible enemy as a war. It's the invisible enemy. This is an invisible enemy.
Nous sommes en guerre.
We are in a situation of war, a health war. We're not fighting against any army or another nation, but the enemy is there. It's invisible and it's progressing. That requires our general mobilization. We are at war.
Una sensación mía, yo siento que estamos luchando contra un enemigo invisible.
Mars begins to leave the Milky Way and joins the moon nodes, the head and tail of the dragon, of the dragon, of the dragon.
叫龙的传人。
Red hair, yellow skin. We call ourselves the inheritance people going down from dragons. Sons and daughters of dragons.
That's good. Some important developments in our war against the Chinese virus comes from China. It comes from China.
Time will seem to stop. The great 2020 conjunction also brings the society Saturnization, which will bring it power to enforce its restrictions in every aspect of society. Así que más parecido a un gobierno dictatorial sería un desierto, frío y seco, y ventoso y duro. And Pluto represents two energies, one hell, the other resurrection, and the two will manifest open to Pluto, which was the ancient god of hell. In Christian astronomy, Jupiter is Christ, but Saturn is Satan, and their conjunction reflects the spiritual battle between good and evil. Es el equivalente a la crucifixión que crea un portal, pero Plutón es la resurrección.
Hell. Biblical. I kid you not. Hell. Biblical.
In Gesù risorto la vita ha vinto la morte, finalmente liberati dal male e da questa pandemia.
Well, it's tragically fitting that we're talking at the beginning of Holy Week because this is going to be the hardest and the saddest week of most Americans' lives, quite frankly.
That we're opening up this incredible country because we have to do that. I'd love to have it open by Easter. I said earlier today that I hope we can do this by Easter. I think that would be a great thing for our country, and we're all working very hard to make that a reality. We'll be meeting with a lot of people to see if it can be done. Easter is a very special day for many reasons. For me, for a lot of our friends, that's a very special day. And what a great timeline this would be. Easter as our timeline, what a great timeline that would be. It's working. Again, by that Easter, that beautiful Easter day.
But there is also the verse from Revelation 9:11, which talks about the coming of the angel destroyer, bringing a great plague to torment the humans that don't want to see the truth for 5 months, exactly as it is said that the pandemic will last.
And to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man.
As if we needed more to worry about than the threat of the deadly disease that has gripped the world, now there is more fodder for people's nightmares. Giant hornets from Japan that are now in Canada and the U.S. Scientists have dubbed them murder hornets.
They've been described as hornets from hell, and with good reason.
Back now with what's called murder hornets, reported in the U.S. for the first time.
Look, as if we didn't have enough problems already in the world, as it is with the pandemic, coronavirus, lockdown. So what's next? Looks like we are being invaded by giant Asian hornets, or what the New York Times likes to call murder hornets.
Jupiter, the lucky star of fortune, will be leaving its ruling sign of hope and begin to align with the moon node that is like a black hole that will suck its energy. So a lot of people will get depressed believing that the future is getting destroyed.
While countries around the world continue to mobilize to contain the spread of COVID-19, mental health experts say we can't lose sight of an equally alarming issue: the long-term mental health impact the pandemic is going to leave on society.
But coming through the coronavirus, again, 1/2 of all adults say that their mental health has been impacted by that, whether that was social distancing, maybe it was economic uncertainty. That, along with the isolation, can certainly create depression and anxiety. It's an almost...
Pluto also represents secret plans, betrayal, similar but inverted to 9/11 2001. It's a reverse 9/11.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy theories concerning the attacks of September the 11th.
The coronavirus, you know that, right? Coronavirus. And this is their new hoax.
More than 1,500 architects and engineers and 12,000 others, including many scientists, have signed the petition calling for a scientific investigation of the destruction of the Twin Towers and World Trade Center Building 7.
Expert voices on coronavirus. There's not only not a consensus, there's a divide across the world on whether these draconian measures even worked by the greatest scientists the world has to offer. Why are we still here? Why are we still locked down when...
La gran conjunción del 2020 es un evento cuya narrativa será la gobierno mundial. Se trata de este nuevo orden mundial que es la representación sociopolítica de la gran conjunción que pone en marcha el famoso nuevo orden mundial.
The United Nations has a New World Order website.
UNNWO.org. United Nations New World Order Project to advance a new economic paradigm and the new world order for humankind.
There's no one else who has measured it, but we have measured it.
And that's what the New World Order is. So we're leading by example on social distancing with this. And that's what the New World Order is on social distancing with this.
1 in 5 Americans is about to be living under a new world order as New York joins California and a growing list of US states preparing to effectively shut down. Is about to be living under a new world order, states preparing to effectively shut down.
And you pick the people to run those agencies and the deputies that are pledging allegiance to the New World Order and
El cambio hacia formas de gobernanza mundial para hacer frente a amenazas que son también globales, como hemos visto es, por ejemplo, esta pandemia.
Donde el Papa habla de el genocidio virósico que va a dejar esta pandemia, de la necesidad de aplicar un nuevo orden mundial.
In which people will connect to stop the new world order that has already fallen in the future.
Alberto está usando al nuevo orden mundial. Está usando al nuevo orden mundial. Todos trabajan para el mismo plan, que es el nuevo orden mundial. Son gente que está luchando en contra del nuevo orden mundial.
Falsa pandemia, Lautaro, ¿me escuchás?
Este nuevo orden mundial que quiere imperar,
No me escuchás.
Este gobierno es un lacayo de las Naciones Unidas y responde al nuevo orden mundial.
Great return, coming back to the same place it was during the American and French Revolution that gave birth to the present government system. Pluto represents destruction by fire.
President Donald Trump is calling on his supporters to, quote, liberate the United States.
Just a day after issuing measured guidelines about the cautious path states should take before reopening.
I don't give a damn about your state law.
Yeah, it's Constitution, man.
That's fine. Hey, if that's how you feel. You swore no to the Constitution. You're going to uphold it? That's how you feel. That is how I feel. All right. No problem at all. Not just me. Millions of us. Okay.
How did they come up with this number of 6 feet?
70 Michigan people have died so far this year from COVID.
The right to challenge authority and government is fundamental to who we are as Americans.
This is Seattle's so-called Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, CHAZ for short. Several blocks of the city now taken over by protesters.
Has anybody here ever heard of the French Revolution before? Does anybody here know what happened to the people who did not get on board with the French Revolution? Say it louder. Say it louder.
Like I said, we were going to enter into a firestorm, and we are about to enter the eye of the storm.
Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm? The story goes on, and an angel still rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm.
You guys know what this represents?
Tell us, sir.
Maybe it's the calm before the storm. Calm before the storm.
What storm?
We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that.
But during a global pandemic, they threatened to create a perfect storm.
The pandemic has caused a kind of perfect storm.
Yeah, Rachel, as you just mentioned, Mardi Gras was the perfect storm for spread of this virus.
Human Rights Watch called the situation a perfect storm.
Coronavirus has impacted their mental health. People with unprecedented challenges as this almost perfect storm.
Combined with the coronavirus fears, I mean, that is
just such a difficult 1-2 punch for the market that was already sort of teetering to hit. And I think that's really been a perfect storm that you've seen develop this morning.
The pandemic has caused a kind of perfect storm.
Yeah, Rachel, as you just mentioned, Mardi Gras was the perfect storm for spread of this virus.
Human Rights Watch called the situation a perfect storm.
Coronavirus has impacted their mental health. People with unprecedented challenges as this almost perfect storm.
Combined with the coronavirus fears, I mean, that is just such a difficult 1-2 punch for the market that was already sort of teetering to hit. And I think that's really been a perfect storm that you've seen develop this morning.
In 2001, right after the Great Conjunction, Pluto first opposed Jupiter and then Saturn, the day of the fall of the Twin Towers. And this planet will complete the cycle that started on the day of the fall of the Twin Towers. 2020 will reactivate the energies from 2001 eclipse, including the economic crisis. The Great Conjunction of 2020 will complete the cycle started in 2001 with the Twin Tower attacks and the economic crisis. So get ready, because 2001 is coming back soon.
Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
These are acts of domestic terror.
Resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice.
I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily armed soldiers, military personnel, and law enforcement officers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property. I want the organizers of this terror to be on notice that you will face severe criminal penalties and lengthy sentences in jail.
Immediately following the first attack, I implemented our government's emergency response plans. Our military is powerful, and it's prepared.
To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency. Two very big words.
All Americans, I'm here to discuss our strategy to prevent and protect the American people from possible outbreaks. Outbreaks can happen simultaneously in hundreds or even thousands of locations at the same time. The pandemic can continue spreading destruction in repeated waves that can last for a year or more.
We're enduring a great national trial in our very vigilant effort to combat and ultimately defeat the coronavirus.
Fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Coronavirus.
Argentinian eclipse, which will connect the events of Argentina and United States, because the crossing of their paths and the upcoming conjunction.
that tree's gonna light up.
Argentinian eclipse which will connect the events of Argentina and United States because the crossing of their paths and the upcoming conjunction.
Speed at which that truck approached.
What started as a fight for justice has descended into chaos, avoiding catastrophe. Protesters chase down the truck and swarm over the cabin.
Bueno, vemos como todos los vecinos están ingresando ahora al interior del supermercado. Es impresionante esto. La bataola que se está dando.
Comenzaron a sonar las alarmas de algunos comercios cuyas vidrieras fueron golpeadas.
This is literally the laziest stuff I've ever seen right now. This is Target right now.
Argentinian eclipse which will connect the events of Argentina and United States because the crossing of their paths and the upcoming conjunction.
Efectivo, es impresionante. Cuidado, Mariano. La cantidad de que con el carrito a cuestas se están llevando mercadería. Llevan toda clase de mercadería. Ustedes podrán escuchar los disparos de fondo.
Set on fire, engulfed in flames here. We're in front of the AT&T. Where are we right now?
Flash. I predict that in just a moment, we will see a lady on a red bike
followed by a man with flowers, and a Volkswagen Beetle with a dented fender.
Truman.
Look. Lady. Flowers. And...
I mean, this is silly.
There it is! There it is! There's the dented beetle! Yes! Do you want to know how I did that? I'll tell you. They're on a loop. They go around the block. They come back. They go around again. They just go around and around.
Because Mars and Saturn in Aquarius is censorship and social war. Also, on 2020, will complete a great mutation. Completing a great mutation.
The coronavirus has mutated, and the second strain is more aggressive than the original.
A new early study by researchers at the Los Alamos National Laboratory shows that the coronavirus may be mutating and that the new dominant strain appears to be even more contagious than the original strain.
Scientists have discovered hundreds of mutations to the virus that causes COVID-19.
Júpiter, Saturno y Plutón empiezan su periodo de retroceso para revisar todo lo que acaba de ocurrir y hacer reajustes necesarios antes de fin de año.
Well, after weeks of lockdown across Europe and around the world, COVID-19 containment measures are starting to ease. Well, virus fatalities have slowed in some of the EU's hardest hit member states, and millions of people are finally heading back to work.
Mandatory protection on the first day of a gradual relaxation of their lockdown. It's part of phase 0 of a 3-phase plan to completely lift restrictions in the hard-hit country.
The WHO flip-flopped on mask wearing. So the WHO came out and gave guidance, and they said, quote, there is currently no evidence that wearing a mask, whether medical or other types, by healthy persons in the wider community setting, including universal community masking, can prevent them from infection with respiratory viruses, including COVID-19.
And now you have the WHO saying none of that really matters. I wonder, is this on purpose? Is it chaos? They keep changing their story.
A new coronavirus outbreak in Beijing sparks wartime measures.
We're sending you back to the future!
2020 will be like entering a black hole to come out to other universe. But the Grand Conjunction is a time gate, where and going all around to infinity, in which people will connect, which symbolizes the cosmic gates of black and white holes.
I hope we're going to have a vaccine, and we're going to fast track it like you've never seen before.
Adding Trump-style branding, the administration launched Operation Warp Speed.
Today, I want to update you on the next stage of this momentous medical initiative. It's called Operation Warp Speed. That means big and it means fast. Incredible. To date, Operation Warp Speed has brought together all of the experts across the federal government. That means the full power and strength of the military.
Warp speed now. Warp speed now. Warp speed
Military, the military, military, the military.
Conjunction with Pluto, finally completing the impact of the start of war with nuclear plutonium. Pluto also represents secret plans, betrayal, and nuclear weapons.
You know, it's a massive job to give this vaccine. Our military is now being mobilized, so at the end of the year, we're going to be able to give it to a lot of people very, very rapidly. Nobody's seen anything like we're doing now within our country since the Second World War. Incredible. Unlike anything our country has seen since the Manhattan Project.
Done by the Manhattan Project, the years-long multinational effort to develop an atomic bomb during World War II.
At the end of the year, military, the military, the Manhattan Project and World War. At the end of the year, military, the military, the Manhattan Project and World War.
Or the government is an occult empire, and the rulers are actors interpreting characters that only follow the scripts of a great astral fiction to synchronize their operations.
Governor, early yesterday morning, Donald Trump tweeted that states needed to be liberated.
None of this surprises us. You can write this script. We've lived through this movie. I imagine you'll see a lot more of that. You can write this script. We've lived through this movie. You can write this script. We've lived through this movie. You can write this script. We've lived through this movie.
There's a movie. Yes, of course. Safer in here now. It'll get worse out there. Thinks it's fiction. That Sutter Kane's causing the epidemic.
The city is almost completely deserted now. No emergency services. The fires continue to burn out of control. This incredible epidemic of random mass killing has spread to every country in the civilized world. Every hour, more people are becoming infected, being driven to senseless acts of extreme violence, to people mutating, their bodies swelling and distorting.
If for any reason you are one of us who hasn't become infected, take shelter immediately. Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust. I'm sorry about the Relax, buddy. We're waiting now. This is not a Sutter Kane story. This is not reality. Not reality. Not reality.
This is reality.
And this is only half of 2020.